Welcome back to another episode of Record of My Father. Today we're talking about heroes, talking about people in our lives that have influenced us and made us into the people we are today. Who's a
Really.
hero of yours? Did you have any actually because of
That
your
was kind of
background?
weird when we started to do like the little thing of what this topic would be, and it's like, wow, heroes, that would be cool because we were this what I think what brought it on is that we went out to San Diego and we saw a commissioning of a ship of a actually a true hero, and we met this guy, what is it, John L. Camley, and he was a hero at Way City. He saved. I mean, they wrote usually you do one heroic act. He did like 10 or 12 over multiple days and saved multiple people. He got the Medal of Honor. We actually got the opportunity to shoot with him. And you just, when you meet people like that, he just had a presence, and he was soft spoken, seemed like a wonderful person. I mean, I don't know, we know him. We shook his hand. I shot 45s with him and things like that. But, that kind of brought on the thing. It's like, well, so who are your heroes? And then I started thinking, like, from a childhood perspective, it's like I can't, I don't, I didn't, I mean, I like Superman, I like Spider-Man, but they don't, as far as people that you knew or people that were alive as heroes, they would have been only people in a group that I knew, and they would have been heroes. And generally, they were heroes for short-lived times, from my perspective. They would have been able to do something that I couldn't do, or they did something that made me really, really proud of them. And I
It's
mean,
an
I have to look.
instance, right? An instance in which
It's more of an
you
instance
yeah.
than actually some great heroic act,
Yeah,
where
how do
you
you sum
see.
up your entire life as a hero? I
Yeah,
think
I
of
mean,
that. Unless you are somebody like
well, I mean,
Camley.
that well, you were there. I mean, the thing that was interesting is they said that this was 3 days out of his 32-year career with the Marines, you know,
Exactly.
and it's
He was
like
always a
he did
soft-spoken individual, yeah.
yeah, he did
And
a
all these different
lot. Yeah,
attributes that made him who he
attribute
was.
attributes
Attributes.
attributes.
Is it attributes or attributes?
It's attributes, I think.
I think
But
it's I think it's both.
yeah,
I think it can be
uh,
both. It could be whatever
yeah, tomato,
to
tomato.
be. Oh, what have I been listening to recently was the Cheeseburger in Paradise. And I think a
Oh,
lot of heroes live at the villages and
hmm.
in Florida. It's
Well, what do you think?
Jimmy Buffett's
Yeah.
kind of retirement community, right?
Well, I mean, when I think about the people that I looked up to in the 60s, this would have been the 60s, I looked up to the man that owned the house that I live in now. I mean, I wouldn't say hero, I would say that he taught me things. And he taught me things and he gave me autonomy to complete things. He'd write out a yellow list of things and he would come all the
Is
way
your
to
uncle?
Woodbridge.
Yeah, your uncle,
Yeah.
yeah.
He would drive from here to Woodbridge to pick me up, bring me back, and he would give me a list of like 10 things or 12 things on a yellow pad, and I would go through and do them. And I was the yard helper, clean the gutters, cut down trees, mow the lawn, just everything. And it was basically, we'll try, you know, spray this bush because there's bug infestation, do this. I mean, just everything, you know.
So a hero is a
Vacuum.
teacher
Yeah. So it was a
in a
teacher,
way.
but also it was also a lot of trust. Well, I think back to my teachers. I had a seventh grade math teacher, Mrs. Sherwood, that was another one that trusted me in all things like that. I mean, I had a lot of people, and if I look back, Mrs. Phillips was another one from third grade. No, fourth grade. She taught fourth grade. She was a fourth grade teacher. I think about the ones that left an impression, and she was this kind, warm person.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, and the thing is that uh, by all rights, I would have been stamped ADHD today and everything else under the
Oh,
sun.
without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, and I invented ant in your pants. So
I remember the whole thing with the psychiatrist. We go
yeah,
in when I'm a kid, and she's like, "Well, where do you think he got it from?" And to mom, and you're just walking around the room picking up books and like putting them on the shelves and shit. And she's like, "Well, I think I figured it out pretty quickly." You're right.
She changed it to, well, we know who we got it
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
Oh, you went to this school? Oh, what about that school? That was a really cool school.
That's
When did you
that's
go
so
there?
ridiculous too to make a kid sit in a room for fucking 10 hours a day. I think
Yeah.
that's so crazy to
Yeah.
expect something and to just
Well, I
beat
think,
beat his creativity down to such a degree that he has to refine it when he's an adult. Like how absurd is that? I don't know.
well, remember that's the thing I liked about your third grade teacher. When you guys were crazy, he would just say, go walk the track.
Yeah,
And I was like, that's good. You know, punishing you is the sort of like, okay, you're going to hit the kid because he's fidgety. Really? That's the way you communicate. If
exactly.
if you have something that makes you do things, it's like you've got to beat them into submission. And it's like, I've never understood that. I mean, that comes back down to corporal punishment for kids. I'm like, I don't know. I've
That
never,
was the whole thing with Mrs. Grinkowski too. I remember I couldn't read very well till about third grade, and she was a hero for me
yeah,
because she helped me learn how to read. Helped
really.
me read at a proficient enough level. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
did you thank her for getting into UVA?
yeah. I said thank you for teaching me how to read. Because I think there was a
Oh,
time, what's crazy is people with dyslexia, with such severe dyslexia, will read Braille instead. Isn't that wild? Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what level of dyslexia that is. That must
I
just be scrambled eggs on the
I've got it
page.
moderately because I reverse lots of
It
things.
has to do with numbers too, like you talked about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ones and
Numbers.
zeros and things like that.
Yeah. When I do a credit card and I write down my credit card, it's like I have to like triple check it because when I do it the
Exactly.
second time, I actually am in my mind thinking that it's when the number's actually supposed to be 3-2. I'm like 2-3. That's fine. Or I'll say 3-2, but I will look at the three, which is after the two, and then I will look at the two, which is before and it's like I will just look at that and believe that that is correct
Yeah.
but I have to like stop, focus, because you will see like width is like I always do it, WTIH, now is NWO. It's usually the second and third letter I transpose. I do it
So I
like
guess I got two things from you. Thanks a
I do
lot.
that
Thanks a
all the
lot over there.
I do
Thanks.
it all the time. Well, I mean, hey,
Oh,
shit happens.
it does. It
And that
does.
would be SIHT.
No, but I actually, well, even now, I don't need to like really rely on spelling things correctly
Yeah.
because we have spell check now. It's wild.
I, I will sit there and see like I'll write a quick email and I'll see 19 things underlined and I'll send it and I'll be like, "Oops."
You're evil. You're evil. It's not worth my time. It's not worth
Yeah.
my time to click the button.
Well, it's funny. I mean, because sometimes I'm sending it to people that are corporate and professional and stuff like that, and then I'm just sort of like, well, fuck it if they can't figure it out. It's like,
They shouldn't have their job, should they? They
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
figure it out.
Well, I mean, a lot of times I'm advising on companies and I'm telling them what to
Mm,
do and how to do it and all that kind
yeah.
of stuff like that. So it's you
If
know,
they can't read
I
my
get paid nothing
hieroglyphics.
and my advice is worth it. Every single
Oh
penny of the
gosh.
nothing. Not
Yeah.
just a little bit of zero. It's like all of the zeros.
Yeah.
You know, and
Uh,
not that I would do differently if I was paid. It would matter. I'm just that's the way I am. I'm just sort of like, uh,
Here, we'll do a plug real quick for Grammarly.
yeah.
Grammarly is a thing that you can use where it's a program that kind of spell check for emails. Like
Hmm.
it's ingrained into your search engine kind of, and anything that you write is automatically
When
critiqued.
did you get that?
Years ago, gosh,
Was it middle school?
it must have been like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago,
No,
and
that's
that
more
is
than 5 or 6 years ago.
really think so.
In
I
middle
thought it
school, you
was
were like
college.
9, 10.
No, I
No,
didn't.
no, you got it in high school because that's what they were recommending.
Yeah, it's such a cheaty little thing.
Yeah,
And now it's a paid subscription service. It used to be free.
used to
But
be free. Yeah,
even the baseline model is fantastic. Even the
yeah.
baseline model is fantastic for reviewing and looking at things. Like I remember starting a new document and you could get through like one edit and it is completely different than at which you first wrote it. But now they have these suggested things on how to rewrite it. And every time they rewrite it, it's as if somebody that doesn't speak English rewrote it. So it's terrible.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
it's really just good for the baseline, kind of.
So it's a different thought process.
Yeah, well, yeah, it points
Yeah.
out
I mean, that's always the thing when you
the
think it's
period
like,
or the comma if it's
yeah.
used incorrectly. That's the most useful part
Well,
of
it's
it.
like when we speak Spanish,
Yeah,
we think
exactly.
it should be I should go to store when it's store we're going to or something like I don't know
Yeah,
because I
no,
don't know
yeah,
Spanish,
because we're
but
we're in a Germanic language. Yeah,
it's different.
I see what you're talking about.
It's the structure of the language is different. The verbs and it's not the same structure, so it's gonna be different. You know.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But
And on
heroes,
that note, we should start speaking Mandarin.
I wish I could do that. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool. I always see these videos of this guy that goes into Chinese restaurants in New York and speaks Chinese to them in perfect Mandarin because he spoke it for 10 years in Hong Kong or something. And he just surprises them. He just surprises them.
It's Bradley. What's his name?
You know the guy?
No, Bradley.
I don't know.
Did the
I don't know who you're talking about.
Hangover.
That's in Thailand. What does that have to do with
No,
anything?
Bradley. What's the last name?
Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper. He
What
did. He learned Mandarin in that movie when he did with Robert De Niro. Remember, where he was taking the drug and it made him all smart.
Limitless. Wow, that's a
Limitless.
deep freaking dive right there. That's a
Yeah,
deep
because I
dive.
saw that and you were like, "Oh man, he learned Mandarin." I'm like, "Yeah, I remember dude learned
He
Mandarin."
did. He did learn like a
Yeah, and
couple
he would go
phrases.
into the Chinese restaurants in New York and speak perfect Mandarin,
Yeah,
which is
he spoke it
like
really well too.
you took me right to that scene.
I forgot about that movie. Wow.
I didn't forget about
That's a
that.
nice
Not when you
8 year jump back. Probably no, that movie came out like
Oh
10,
God, that's 11
15
years ago
years
for
ago.
me. But
20.
I can remember sitting on the chair watching it.
It was really good. I remember that. And then Scarlett Johansson did something of a similar vein,
Hmm.
which was I can't remember what movie that was. Do you remember what movie that was?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
but it was
was
it was kind of like you unlock 100% of your brain or something because humans
Oh
only use
yeah.
10% of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's always the thing.
It was so funny. I was listening
But it
to
seems like if you only use a portion of your brain and you have a you and your like your body, your skin and everything else,
mhm.
it doesn't work forever. Well, it's going to die.
Well, at
So
capacity, yeah, at the
right. And
maximum
so
capacity.
if you only use 10% in any given day, you would think that if you start using 50%, that
Hmm.
your
Oh, the
lifespan would
camera.
be cut in half, or the life of your brain, right? I mean, I don't know scientifically. I'm pulling this completely out of my butt, but it just seems that logically, the more that you use, the less that you would have. I mean, you hear people talk about this. That's why I wear the same clothes every day. That's why I do this because I don't want to waste brain on that.
Well,
You
apparently
know?
that whole 10% thing is just made up anyway. It's just made up.
Yeah,
Somebody made that up. It
yeah.
doesn't.
I don't know how they could
That's
take.
like saying your skin. Like you have all this skin on you, and you only use 10% of your skin. That makes no sense.
Well, your
That doesn't
skin
make any sense.
regenerates, and it
Yeah.
regenerates over time, and
Mhm.
you lose what millions of cells every day. However, it only regenerates for a certain amount of time.
Oh, you can only heal as fast as when you're a
Right.
certain
So it
age.
slows and slows and slows, and that's why when you get older and older and older, you get more.
That's where the 10% thing came from. Okay,
That's
that
where it
makes
gets
sense.
wrinkly and stuff like that. But if you're, and I guess if you're 70 and and the average age of people dying is 74, you would, well, I don't know if that means your brain's gone. That's a pretty big psyche, whatever
I don't
jump.
think it's working as well as it once did. I mean, because everything
No,
is
no, I think that
denigrates.
I absolutely know that when I read when I was your age and I was in my 20s, I was heavily into the classics. I just wanted to read them because I knew that they lasted forever in your mind. And I've read
Timeless literature, and
timeless literature because
which
I've
is made
read
up.
trash novels from Mac Bolan, the Executioner series, Nick, whatever the hell his name was. I read all those things and I would read those in like 5 days and they were fun. They're neat. This guy would go into a town where the mafia was and they did something wrong to some girl and he would come in and he would kill everybody and save everybody and blow everything up. And
I think that was the baseline for the Punisher series. That's what
he
it
was my
sounds like.
hero. He was my hero. I thought that was really cool.
Hmm.
But I mean, it was a fictitious character, just like Superman or
Well,
Spider-Man.
superheroes, right, are just
But
existentials of
anyway,
people we don't have in our own lives.
well,
I
that's
think
why
that's
it's really strange that we actually meet someone who is. And that
Mm.
is the truly the only hero that I've ever met. I hear people say all the time when someone gets killed that they're a hero, or someone does one act of something, and they make them out to be heroes. And you're just like, or they start talking about the armed forces, they're heroes. And it's like, no, they're not. I mean, you know,
How is that not
80,
considered just an occupation? I don't really understand
right,
that.
80% of them are support. So the guy, I mean, granted, if he doesn't file the paperwork properly and you don't get paid, you're going to be pissed off and things might go wrong and your family might get destroyed and you might kill people for no reason. But, you know, he's not a hero, no more than the clerk is at IBM. It did, and that's
This
the
is an
same thing I hear
occupation,
about
yeah.
the police when they talk about they're heroes and the firefighters are heroes, and you're like, no, they're not. It's an occupation. If they're a hero,
Isn't that a choice too? Isn't that a choice?
yeah, that's another thing. I don't see that. Oh, you're serving, and it's like, well, so isn't everybody in the federal government serving the public?
Yeah, you would
I mean,
also
aren't they
have
doing
to.
the same thing? What is the difference there? When you
That
think
is a good
about,
question. That's a really good question.
I
I never
don't
thought about that.
see that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody that does wonderful things to help people through, through their own volition without being paid to do it. And when I see, you know, police officers or firemen do some great deed to help people, and then I realize, well, but that's your job.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I always
it
find
would
it
be
weird
cool.
too when when they do this whole video, the fireman putting out a fire, and it's like, oh, he saved like this woman. I'm like, but isn't like if she died, would I also hear about it? I don't know.
No, no, it's funny when the people get burned up and they die, they don't. There is no. There's no you fucked up. There never is.
Yeah. I
You
don't know.
know.
It's a weird thing to think
There's
about,
no
isn't it?
there's no analysis from the other side, and it's like I don't mean to just. I'm not trying to disparage policemen or firemen or it. This
No,
is
that's
not
not what we're doing. That's not what we're
It's
doing at
not that
all.
at all. It's just sort of like looking at the thing, or the military.
It's
It's
just a
like
question. It's
I
just a
I
question.
I love what the line guy does, and I truly feel for what they go through. I don't understand it. I would never, I've never been in a stressful situation where I knew I would die. Well, I have, but those are not self-imposed or
Uh,
so those don't really count. But when you're to saving to put your life on the line to save others is something that I've never experienced. And I think that to me, and I would say even if it was your job, that's a hero.
oh, without a
Because
doubt. Without a
because if
doubt.
you put your life on the line to do something for others, that to me is a hero. Not that you joined an organization that people do that, but you. And
Me.
that's the whole point. That to me that's the difference, because otherwise and it's just the word hero. I think it's just way overused.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about boxers being heroes, or you talk
Ah,
about, or you
doesn't
talk
make any
about
sense.
musicians being heroes, or you talk about actors being heroes, and you're just like, you know, he did a great thing. He gave away a bunch of money. That's cool. Okay, fine.
I
Is
think you
that?
need to put your life on the line to be
Yeah,
considered
I
a
think that.
public hero, but personal hero is like you're my personal hero, mom's my personal hero as well. You guys
Yeah.
always have been, you always will be.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
You
I think
you
that there's
you
no
have
such thing
got
as
to
a
say that.
personal hero. I have to,
Yeah.
or else I'll get fired as executive producer of the show.
Well,
But
I would
yeah,
I
no, I
would
think public hero. Yeah, what constitutes a public hero? I would have to say that risking your life, right? Because a lot of times we're like, oh, this guy gave millions of dollars to do this, but I'm like, he was going to do it anyway.
yeah.
I don't know.
Or
He's
even
not
if he
putting his,
wasn't, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
We give away money, but does that make that
Does that
doesn't
make
make
you a
you any.
hero? Right?
No, you do it for your own personal. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's for your own.
Well, I think it's also
I like that.
to do something good too, and not just to satisfy yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it comes down to the philanthropy side. Maybe we should talk more about that. I mean, when you think about making yourself a hero by giving away a bunch of money, it's like,
What do you
what?
think about a selfless act? and is giving away money a selfless act? I don't know.
I mean, it can be,
It can be.
you know, it can be to some degree, but also it's like going out of your way to help people. There's
That's
so
more
many
important to me.
things.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's kind of the point. And that's, I mean, when you think about it, that's the way that I believe that we taught you is to, you know, help those who can't help themselves and,
That was
or
always a
and
lesson.
direct those that can, you know, because a lot of people can do what the hell they want. They just need somebody to say, "Hey, that's the way." you know, you're going over there. You got to go that way, not this way.
What is the whole horse to water thing? It's like you can lead a horse to
Yeah, you
water.
can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink, and that's like where
Oh yeah.
you're trying to get somebody, well, addicts in particular. You can offer to put them in rehab and all that kind of stuff like that, and try to get them to stop. Being someone that is that way with alcohol, you can lead the person there, but you can't make them. You
You
can't do
can't.
anything, and they will in their mindset only stop when they want to,
Oh, exactly.
and and if they ever want to not, they won't. And you can say all you want, you can throw all the liquor and drugs away, you can take away their money, you can do all that, but if they want to do it, they'll go out and give somebody a knobber on 8th Avenue and get enough money to do whatever the hell they want. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like
Hmm.
when you start to look at addiction and things like that, people they will grab the isopropyl alcohol and drink that. They'll anything. And you hear about that kind of stuff in Alaska where they will not ship alcohol there, but they figure out other ways.
The hairspray, they drink hairspray on the
Yeah, but I
reservations.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, so really, so what the hell, you
And
got
I feel
people
like
that are
hairspray too is almost another way to rob them of the last little money that they have left because hairspray is going to be more expensive than a bottle of vodka.
right. Yeah.
And then it's at a probably a higher tax rate than alcohol is anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, think about that. That's another form of colonialization. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down to is this a right to die question?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if somebody wants to drink themselves to death, I think that that's their freedom to do so. I think that that's just
It's
something.
provided they don't interfere with others.
Yeah.
Because if
Uh,
you want to drink yourself to death while you're driving 100 miles an hour on 495, that's cool with me as long as I'm not on 495,
As
which is a
long as
loop that's around,
my
you
life
know.
isn't at risk, yeah.
Yeah, as
As
long as
long
my
as
life is
my
not at risk, I don't give a shit. Let everybody else die. Let their children die.
let them go. Let them
Yeah.
go.
Okay, he really is a selfish piece of shit.
People are just figuring that out now.
I
Is
wonder. Hey, I think we need to say that he is just jesting, but
that going to be
you
the
never can
title?
tell.
Jesting. I haven't heard somebody use that phrase
Yeah,
in a while because I'm reading Infinite Jest right now, kind of.
really.
I have like 800. I'm at 850 pages. I have 130 to go. But one
Um,
page is like seven. So it's just so mentally exhausting. I haven't picked it up
is
in a week or two.
Carl Schmidt the definition of political?
Are you
Is
still
that what?
reading that one? Just stop reading it if you don't enjoy it. That's what I
No,
learned.
no, but it's like, well, I've got the other one. Search for blah,
What's the search
whatever.
for ball?
No, the
It's
old
not.
one that the Chinese guy wrote in
It's not the
the
Sun Tzu
30s.
one. It's not the Art of War.
No, no, no. I could probably read that easier. I've got to find another one that actually
Get
catches
something that
me.
you actually are interested in. Do something fiction. Do a
Oh,
fiction
here's
narrative.
one. I'll read about the mass on the mall. What do you think?
What is that? What is that about?
This is when
Oh, that was the pamphlet.
in 1979.
That was the worst pope we've ever had right there, apparently.
Uh,
He was mean.
no, it was the guy after this was the
I was the
Nazi.
guy
This
after that.
guy wasn't the Nazi. He might have been. I mean, this is when uh
The guy
I
after
don't
was
know.
so
I don't know
mean, I
if
heard.
yeah, well, there was two. I think there was one, two after this guy. Because they keep pulling these guys when they're late in life, and then they pretty much kick it after about 15 years. So 10, 15 years, something like
Well, it's
that.
a life position, right?
Yeah. But we went
Uh,
there, but which is weird that it's a position, yet it's this is how you talk to God, and this guy talks to God, and you're like, this is some really hokey stuff for people to believe that,
Well,
One
it's not
person.
hokey because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
I
Like,
would
I
say
remember
trillion,
trying
but
to. Oh,
yeah.
it is a trillion. Yeah, you're right. It
Yeah.
is a trillion
I
dollar
would
industry.
say there. I mean, I just it's just the Vatican itself is a state, you know, and that's
It
only
used to be
one.
bigger too before they were selling pieces of the Vatican what is it? Vatican City, which used to be
Yeah.
gigantic, used to be humongous. And they had a huge issue in when was it? During Rome because they were selling pieces to people to like into the public thoroughfare, the public general public. And yeah, they had a
Yeah,
real issue
you
with
don't want
that.
regulars, you don't want regulars with the elites. That's horrible. I can't believe they let
Yeah.
them do that.
Well, then they were offering positions for also money as well, like
Well,
positions in
they've
the
always
church.
done that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole idea that you can be absolved right before you go to war just seems totally,
Oh, that's so funny. I love that.
yeah.
Well, the whole
Yeah, I
thing
don't.
too, the the tickets to get into heaven. If you gave the
Yeah.
church a certain amount of money, they're like, this is a straight fire, surefire way to get into heaven.
Well, they have that famous picture of Epstein in front of the Pope. So
That's awesome.
him and
We'll put that up here as the thumbnail.
Giselle, whatever her name was, Giselle
Glistine.
Christine.
Glistine. Yeah. What a
Yeah.
weird name.
Maxwell.
What
Well,
where was she from?
her dad owned Macmillan Publishing, and I remember it distinctly because it was the first Form 10 ever, which is a spinoff document,
Hmm.
was done from Macmillan Publishing, and they actually spun it off to. It was a big takeover in the probably late 80s, and I worked on it a bit, so it was kind of interesting to see. And that guy himself died on a yacht by himself, drowned.
Weird.
I mean, a lot of strange stuff. You know, when you hear stuff that just doesn't add up, it
I've been hearing
usually,
things about Mossad being related to that family.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been
Well, I
hearing.
mean, if you're on a yacht, you know, and you got to have a crew, and somehow
Hmm.
you fall in the water and drown, you know, it goes, it's, who is it? Robert Wagner and
That was weird.
Christopher Walken and what's the only kind of wood that doesn't float? Natalie.
Natalie, yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yes,
But
it
yeah,
is. It's very
that'd be
terrible.
so weird. I don't think that'd be very accepted today if we go out on a yacht with three
Hmm.
people and then they're like, "Where did she go?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. Just she just drowned."
She fell off and she drowned and we found her. Yeah.
That's weird. That's very, very
Yeah.
strange.
I don't know how much drugs you'd have to do to not know.
Yeah. Unless you have a heart attack or something, which and the coroner could make I don't know, could look at that and say that it was a heart attack, that'd make more sense.
Yeah.
But if you drowned, that's
Well, she fell off the boat and died.
you gotta be drunk. You gotta be really,
Well,
really
if
drunk.
everybody's hammered and you fall over backwards in the boat and you're in the middle and they just drive on.
I mean, you
But
don't even notice because you're so drunk yourself. I don't
I
know.
thought that she went down. They had like a little thing down to a little motorboat, and she went
Mm.
down there, fell, and hit her head because she had a big thing on her head.
Ah,
She wasn't just drowned; she was hit on the head and then drowned. And the hit, they said, was she fell off the pier or whatever the little stoop is off the side of the boat,
huh.
and then hit her head. That's what I remember, and
Strange.
I'm that may be I may be misremembering it because this is what 40, 50 years
I
ago.
can't believe you're misremembering. It's so
Yeah.
upsetting.
I mean, this is the 60s once again. It's another one of those old timey things. It's like,
Uh,
wow. But they weren't my hero either.
well,
Although
Robert
sometimes,
Wagner too was a well-known homosexual, so that
yeah, but
also
he was
happened
also
too.
like the hottest guy in Hollywood. So he was kind of
Yeah,
overlooked. I mean, you know,
I
Rock
don't think
Hudson
anybody
was that
really.
way.
Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor too were in relations at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, or later on, I guess 10 years after. But
I think they were just, do you think that it was just more open? I mean, it was more,
I think the cocaine was just that good that people understood.
yeah,
They're like, yeah, well, that makes sense. You
yeah,
think so? It
yeah.
must have been. It must have been that way.
Well, you know, I see, I'm a person that doesn't believe that you try it.
No.
I think that you either are and you
Yeah.
know it or you aren't, but I'm sure there are people that are somehow on a seesaw where they're kind of like, I like men, I like women, I like men. I guess I'm sure that they
But
have the
there's always going
same.
to be one more than the other, I feel like. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I've never I just I don't I
You never
can't. I
given me a
mean,
shot before? Is that what you're saying?
well, no, when I think about gay people, I think about like I think gay people are just like me. I think that they think about men the way that I think about women.
I
So
would
I
say
don't
that's
see that.
how it works, yes.
Yeah, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, well, what the fuck? It's like I don't
Mm.
see that as, it doesn't worry me at all,
Well, that's
It's
good.
like when I go
That's
up to a
good.
woman and I say, "Hey, let's hop in the sack now," which is my opening line. It used to
Mm.
be and it never worked. I mean, it's the same thing when guys are worried when a gay guy approaches them, it's like, well, I guess there's that word no.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I find it flattering. That happened the other day, and I was like, "Wow, really,
Yeah.
really?" I felt
Well,
so flattered. I was like, "Wow." It was thumbs up, big thumbs up.
it doesn't, I mean, happen a lot more when I was in Rehoboth because I'd go
When
over
you were in
to,
New York too, it happens. Yeah,
oh, New York. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I was sort of like, I,
Me? You almost feel like a queen of sort of me,
yeah.
me.
Wow. What? You got
Yeah,
really bad taste.
yeah. I'm always shocked. Like, yeah, you need
Yeah.
to go back to school. Go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of the thing. It's like
Hmm.
you look at that, feel, and then maybe you could be their hero.
Yeah, maybe that's how that becoming a hero works.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, I
Well,
think like I try to go back and think about the heroes of my childhood, and it's like there's people that were important. There are people that were, but for the most part, it wasn't. I didn't have any.
yeah, I just had personal heroes, which were my parents. I
Yeah.
don't think I had.
Yeah, but it's
I
like
never
that's
really was a
not really.
superhero person either. I never really was a big superhero guy.
Yeah.
Never
I
really
mean, I
my
like
thing.
Spider-Man. I think it'd be cool if I could be Spider-Man. I think
Spider-Man
that'd
was
be
the worst one. Why did you pick Spider-Man?
oh God, walking
He
up buildings,
sucks.
swoop, 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 living in New York, swoop, 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 swinging through the trees.
Swoop,
Oh
swoop,
my
swoop.
God, that would be so being so strong that anybody they swing at you, you can duck and you move out
That
of the
is true.
way. I mean,
I'd
because
rather
I
be
was,
Batman though. Batman just has unlimited money. I mean, that's
I
all it is.
was I was heavily bullied, so I
Mm,
can remember those things, but
yeah.
that having that ability, you know.
Mhm. No, for sure.
But hey, the good old days.
It
We
happens.
think about that. And, wow.
Yeah. Try not to think about it as much now.
No. Well, I mean, you can't change it, and you can go and you can dwell on all the bad things that happen. And I mean,
It's kind of pointless though.
I can be very clearly remember many of the bad things that happen. And this, we talked about this, bad things, good things, and remembering the good things and bad things. And what really sticks out? Well, the bad things stick out, but I don't like dwell on them. I don't
Yeah.
feel like I dwell on them because it doesn't seem like I can't change what happened then, you know. I can
And
only
you never
change
will be
what
able to.
happens going forward.
Exactly.
So if someone did something that was bad, I think was wrong, I would make sure that I wouldn't do it. Or if I had power, I'd make sure that others didn't do it, you know? I mean, that's kind of that to
Whole
me
thing.
is the way you change. That's the way you change things. Is
And
like,
yeah, that's how you become a better person.
yeah. And then you become a hero. Hero.
Well, we're up on our last 4 minutes here already.
Oh my
Crazy enough.
gosh.
These are buzzing by, aren't we? We're just pumping these
It's
out.
Gabby Hayes, man. You just
It's
talk too
it's
much.
it's a fun time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a
I
fun
just make
time
these
here.
references to people from the 30s, and you're like, what? What are you talking about?
What? Who?
I think Gabby Hayes was a 50s cowboy star.
Oh, I went to the Hollywood Improv the other day.
Oh, you
And
did?
yeah, yeah, and there was no laugh night. You get up there and you sit there, and they try to make you laugh, and they made me laugh in like 2 seconds because I was like
Hmm.
four drinks deep. I was like, "There's no way I'm not gonna be able to laugh. There's no way possible." And so, where was I going with this? Oh, the reference. They referenced me as the guy from Boy Meets World when he gets older in the show.
Yeah. Boy Meets what?
World. It was some show in the 90s. And I
Oh.
was unfamiliar with the reference and didn't
Hmm.
get it. And he was trying to tell me what the reference was. And it was, and I was like, I don't understand. And they're like, do the voice. I'm like, what voice? Like, haven't you seen the show? I'm like, no. They're like, oh.
Boy Meets World.
Yeah. Apparently it was really popular.
No.
I'm not a big sitcom guy though. So no, I
Yeah.
can't stand a laugh track. I can't stand a laugh track. A laugh
Oh.
track bothers me.
You know what you need to watch is
Give me
Red
a
Skelton.
headache. What is that?
The Red Skelton show. Look that up. That's good.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up.
It's comedy.
We'll link
But I'm
it.
gonna look up Boy Meets World.
Do that. Yeah, do
Yeah.
that. You've never seen that, really?
Never have. Never
Uh,
even heard of it until you just brought it up.
well, I've heard of it before. I've heard of it, never seen it though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, well, we
Well,
have a Q&A section on our Spotify. Go check that out. And do you have any parting words for us on your end of the country?
compliment me on changing my shirt. I think you need to do that.
Yeah,
And
he did change his shirt today.
yeah.
He's been wearing the
Uh,
same one for the past five
love the
episodes.
studio. Give us ideas. Would love to hear from our and we'll give $1 to the first person to comment on anything.
$1.
Okay,
One
$2.
$1.
Okay.
$2 bill or $1.
No, you'll do a PayPal thing
Okay, we'll do PayPal.
or Squat Pal or whatever it is.
Squad Pal.
Squat.
Squat Pal.
I love Squat Pal.
No,
It's a new
that is
idea.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. Well, goodbye, everybody. You have a wonderful week.